Hey, team, how we going? It is Kaz here from In the Trenches with Kaz. I'm here with an interesting concept today. On the eve of peace, it seems that Sir Keir Starmer, 62-year-old British Prime Minister, has decided now might be a good time to potentially commit British troops to the Ukraine security effort. I'm wondering why. I'm wondering how will that affect Australia? How will this affect the brokering of peace between the two nations? The border being established, so to speak, with Ukraine and Russia, and how the hell this is going to work out? Yeah, wait a second. Why do people send me a message as we go live? Carl, you know better than that. Watch the stream instead. Navy veteran, there you go, mate. Let's go. G'day, buddy. How you going, mate? Now, I hope you don't mind that I've got a sailor standing behind me. You know, that's what it feels like at a piss trough on a Navy boat. Mr. Buckaroony, Kaz. Trump has gone rogue. I don't know what's going on there, mate. Nicole K, g'day. Trav. G'day, buddy. Look, there's something going on, and I don't understand what it is. This is the closest there's been to peace talks, basically, since the war began between Russia and Ukraine. There's going to be no winners in this. There's already probably around 1 million people between the casualties, more when it is considered the wounded, in a period that is less than World War One. More people than Australia lost, in World War One. And you just need the killing to stop. And we need the conflict to stop. What will the new border look like? Don't know. But if it stops that bloodshed when there's no chance of a Ukraine victory other than dragging Article 5 in, which means all of NATO gets involved and potentially the Commonwealth and the Five Eyes as well, wouldn't you rather there be an unhappy Zelensky than potentially this ramp up to something bigger than what it is? I don't want to see Australians going over for a place they can't find on a map. There's a lot of wars happening around the world at the moment, and for some reason, this one stands out beyond all the others. It'd be very easy for a 19-year-old with the great adventure in his eyes to think, hey, I'd like to go over to the Ukraine, and think of themselves as one of the Spartans, holding back the Persians. But I think you'd change your mind once you saw the reality on the ground, which is the reason why so many of the Ukrainians haven't fought for their country and pissed off as well. Unfortunately, I'd have to be brought back on my shield because I'm not running from Australia. My job is to protect it. But I don't expect someone to necessarily come from another country, to come and die for us either. Especially in this world of confusion at the moment. What else we got here? We've got Scotty here. Hey, guys. I hope all is well, and I wish I could watch the strip, but loading fuel at the moment to keep the Aussies car drivers on the road. Take care, mate. You are a saint, patriot. We've got Blakey Smith, who got some really, really good news today that we can't really bring out on here because he's got his actual real name on here. Buckley says Europe needs to step up. No. Oh, yeah, they do, but for poor, that's the last thing anyone needs over there, despite the fact that it's been going on. The time to step in was 3 years ago, not now. They made it quite clear, and I feel sorry for the people of the Ukraine that the US and NATO made it sound like they were going to be there the entire time for the fight with alongside Ukraine, and then they didn't step up when the time came. Not only didn't they step up, they also didn't provide the financial support that they'd pledged to do. Now, it says here, Sir, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It doesn't sound British at all. Keir Starmer has said he is ready and willing to put UK troops on the ground in Ukraine to help guarantee its security as part of the peace deal. Would you be willing to put your own kids? Now, Mr. Starmer's got 2 of his own. Would he be willing to put one of his own children in harm's way? If he's willing to do it as a security force, again, there's a conflict of interest there because we're talking about Russia, which means there's the Article 5 that if someone gets attacked within the NATO coalition, then everyone comes in and gets involved. So I think whoever goes and becomes a security force on the ground needs to be outside NATO for starters. Also, it can't be a European. The UK Prime Minister said securing a lasting peace in Ukraine was essential. Yes, if we are to deter Putin from further aggression in the future. Now, he's made no allegations that he wants to go beyond Ukraine, and I don't think he wants all of Ukraine anymore, and I don't think he expected to get such a bloody nose from Ukraine at the start. They had an emergency summit with the European leaders in Paris on Monday. Sir Keir said the UK was prepared to contribute security guarantees to Ukraine by putting our own troops on the ground if necessary. I do not say it lightly, he said to the Daily Telegraph. I feel very deeply the responsibility that comes with potential putting British servicemen and women in. Again, I say your children should be the first ones on the ground if you're going to push other people forward for a war that is not yours. Okay? You broke away from the European Union. You don't need to be going over and sending your kids over for yet another bloodbath that you've been part of for so many times in the past. What do we got here? Blakey Buckaroo, step up. Jennifer G. G'day, mate. Then Lass. Good evening, on Nicole. Isn't the UK PM Jewish? Yes, he is. 62-year-old fella. I believe he used to be a lawyer, so you can trust him, eh? Jackie Duff, do you think we will have troops over there in the next few years? No. If we do, it would actually, we wouldn't actually be a bad choice for troops over there, to tell you the truth. The reason is that we're not part of NATO. We are not part of the hostilities. However, I dare say Vladimir Putin won't be real happy the way that we've sent armoured protective vehicles, being the Bushmaster and APCs, etc., over that we used as infantry fighting vehicles very successfully, I might add. So who knows? Who knows? Here I was having a conversation a couple of days ago that I can't see any situation where Australian troops are going to be on the ground outside Australia, just like almost every country at the moment is saving their powder, keeping it dry, because no one knows what's happening over the next 3 or 4 years. So it's better off not to go in swinging arms before you know who your real friends are and who your enemies are. That's for sure. You don't want to get involved in something that you can't pull yourself out of. And the last thing we need to do is extend the wall at the Wall of Honour at the Australian War Memorial. We've also got one of the smallest armies we've had in Australia's history. The British Army is also completely shrinking. The amount of people we can recruit is getting smaller and smaller as people are getting rounder and rounder in first world nations, and also the lack of patriotism for countries. Once again, like I say, I didn't see an Australian flag on Australia Day in Australia. It was very heartbreaking, to tell you the truth. Righto. So questions for you. Would you be willing to go to Ukraine? If so, why? And if you're willing to go to Ukraine, would you be willing to go to the Central Republic of Congo at the moment and fight against Rwandans who are taking over Congo? Or is there something special about Ukraine? What should we have 6 understrength battalions? Exactly right, Mr. Bucko. What's going on here? It's saying we've got excellent connection, an excellent connection, but that seems like it's fake news. We do have 6 understrength battalions. I'm glad you said that, Bucko, because that leads me to the next point. What if, I don't know, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Van Houser, greetings all. That sounds very European, or a heavy metal band. I don't even know if this is actually working at the moment. Huh. Here we go. Okay, Kaz, what do you think of Red Corn Ship 250 odd kilometres off Sydney? I'll tell you what I think. I believe the next time that a Chinese warship comes into Australia, we should sink it. I think the next time their aircraft come over to make us stand to, we should shoot it down. That's what we should do. At the moment, our US partners are probably thinking, okay, Australia's got some of the best pilots in the world. We've got a fantastic Navy. Wish our submarines were more intact. But it's time that we show people you deliberately came that far into our waters. It's time to pay. sorry to the corn chip sailor, have to be the rooster that gets choked to teach the monkey, but that's what has to happen. One of the things that you get a little bit nervous of is these sort of saber rattling, so to speak. This could actually be the trigger to what you were saying before there, Buckaroo, about having 6 understrength battalions. This could be something that actually triggers something like conscription or national service. And I believe there's already talk of that happening in the UK, talks of conscription or national service, etc. Jackie Duff, if we go then lose even more soldiers, then it's just a waste of time and lives. Agree. We shouldn't be throwing the fuel on the fire. If the orders change over between Ukraine and Russia, that's not the worst. It is if the fight continues. That's the worst thing. Trav passed my assessment day last week. Keen to do my part for the country. Awesome, Trav. And when you do your part for the country, let's make sure that it's for a righteous reason. And you don't go over to somewhere where you can't find it on a map, you can't speak the language, and you come back on your shield and no one remembers, or you come back injured, and don't know the real reason why you were even there. Okay? It's very easy when you're young, especially when you're a soldier, or you're going to be there to say, hey, I don't want to miss out on the big dance. I get that. I've been in a situation many, many times myself. Been lucky to have been overseas a bunch of times and been lucky enough to see what the devastation of war looks like, to know that it's not like the movies. And that's the best thing that can happen to you, is you go become a witness to something that teaches you that we're all, none of us are bulletproof. Fire hurts and the world is not as peaceful as you think. Now, if you look around on Google, and you look at the conflicts that are happening around the world is far from peaceful at the moment. It is, but we also live in a time of fantastic comforts where you get to live an amazing life. So when the fight does happen, and it will always happen, it's part of human nature, that it should be something that is worth the fight, is worth the hill to fight on. And remember, once you're in the army, you don't get to choose that fight. You're an extension of the proverb, when old men stop talking, young men must fight, start dying. At the moment, it is. That's what happens with social engineering that's been occurring around the world. We've been getting told, Mr. Buckaroony, that up is down and down is up. Okay, that gay is normal, that transgender is normal, and white heterosexual males, the building blocks of Christian nations, are in the wrong as soon as they wake up. Now, that is the vast majority of our recruiting class within our military, within our police, etc. It is tough. We can't get relationships to work. Kids don't have parents anymore. The country is addicted to dual taxing. We've got nations that used to be friends that are now squabbling with each other. We've got fake news interests. It's easy to get caught up in the white noise. That's for sure. We've got guys that are turning up to the School of Infantry that probably thought that one day they're going to be special forces, now realizing that the School of Infantry is hard enough. Some guys have found out that in the last couple of days. Sorry, I'm late, says Simon. Are you pregnant, sir? Simon Powell, I'm in a I'm a bad airman. Nah, you're all right, mate. You're okay. It seems like we've got this just jumping around like buggery. Guys, can you just give us a 1 out of 10 how dog shit is the connection here at the moment? Elise King, the king of Elises. How you going, mate? I was going to see what's going on. But, I'll be up near the beaches, the Newcastle tomorrow to go and see mum. That's a hard thing as you start to get older. Your parents naturally get older as well, and you just never know. You just never know when you're going to lose them. So love your parents and your imperfect brothers and sisters. It's not awful, but not perfect. Jack, it's not going to be perfect when my head's on the screen. We get that. So tomorrow I've got an excuse to drink some coffee. Achilles, come here, buddy. Achilles. I've got my best friend here. Come here, buddy. That's one thing we can be assured of. Come here. Oh, love you, mate. Rapper, is he watching the screen at the moment? What do you got to say, buddy? Are you a cat man or a dog man? Would you judge someone less if they were a cat man when they came to you for instruction? He's got a better looking head than his dad. What's that? Hey, beautiful. Say good day to Elise. Say good day to Jen. Good day, buddy. Yep, he's my little bit of morale. Okay, buddy, I'll put you down. He's got a rough tummy at the moment from eating Kentucky, I think. Okay, mate. I'll be with you in a minute. Yeah, Elite puppy, she told me once before that she grew up overseas and, that used to be her main meal. That could be fake news too. So, guys and gals, what are your thoughts? Do you honestly think that first world nations should be getting involved 3 years late on the precipice of peace and throwing the fight back into 100% with Russia? I don't. I really don't. Juicy says, do you think Australia will do anything about the Chinese ships or just sit there and cop it? I think they're going to sit there and cop it. We've already been accused of being in way too deep with the corn ship and letting them push us around. Another thing I do not like at all, and I think that we should learn from watching what's happening in the USA, is if you go to Chinatown in most parts of Australia, there's the bank of corn chip at the end of the that precinct. So that means the money that gets made there funnels straight out of our country back to the red corn chip instead of within Australia. That's why almost every restaurant you go to prefers you to deal with cash, I believe. Not a fan, but I love the food. Dwayne, how you going, mate? I do believe, Juicy, that you should give 1 warning, 2 warnings, 3rd warning, blow them out of the water. You cannot, feel sorry for yourself if you lose a ship when you want to fuck around with someone else's sovereign waters. Murphy Shepherd, g'day, mate. I'm pretty well, mate. I'm pretty good. Going to see the family tomorrow. Is the Port of Darwin still being leased to China? I'm not sure about Darwin, but I believe Newcastle is. I'm a Stockton boy in Newcastle. That money was meant to get spent on Newcastle Port and also the beautiful areas of Newcastle, one of the most amazing places in Australia. But the money got taken, I believe, by Sydney, which is no surprise to anyone. Sydney and Melbourne are like the Washington, D.C. of USA. It's crazy at the moment what's happening with Elon Musk finding all of that corruption, and they're looking at giving 20% of the money that they take out of the corrupt pledges and giving that back to the people, considering it was theirs. Murphy Shepherd, have you seen those Chinese warships along the coast, Kaz? I haven't personally seen them, but we've just been talking about that, Murph. And the question was, what should happen to them? And I do believe it is it's a war footing. It's designed to intimidate. And I believe that those ships should be sunk. Given a warning, you don't ever have to warn them once. And then they'd be gone. Or it'd be on. And guess what? They don't have the ability to extend that far, and you'd end up with a US carrier fleet up in our northern waters, and they'd probably cut them off at the pass, and the red corn ship, they wouldn't be able to defend their actions because they know they're doing the wrong thing. Maybe practice on a few of those illegal fishing boats for a while. G'day, Jared. How you going, mate? There's a legend. I can't say where he is, okay, but he's having a great time with the girls with his career. Nice guy. Very nice guy. Hit me with a question, team. What he's got? Scotty. NVN. Dave D. G'day, mate. Okay, Dave, thank you for sending me a lot of the memes I've been getting. I've been pissing myself laughing at those. It's getting me through the day. What else we got? We're just talking about Mr. Starmer, potentially pledging his soldiers to be there for the cleanup, or at least the security of what's happening over in Ukraine at the moment. And the fear is this could put a spanner in the works give Zelensky potentially some lead in his pencil and keep this going longer than it needs to go. Now, I don't think he should have ever admitted that he doesn't know where most of the money is that's been sent from the USA to Ukraine. I think that was a silly statement because no one's going to send you any money when you can't tell me where it is. We cannot have another situation like Afghanistan where the US negotiated directly with the Taliban and cut out the Afghan government in reference to deal negotiations in Trump's first administration, which was later enacted by the Biden administration. I feel that President Trump will want to avoid this too, said Mr. Keir. They're going to have sit-down talks as well, the British Prime Minister and the US. At the moment, the US has gone over to Europe and basically torn them a new arse about the right and wrong in the way they've carried out their actions. Yeah. Will we go to war with the Red Corn Ship? No. I don't believe anyone will, Jack. I don't believe anyone will. They're not a strong country. They're in a lot of trouble internally, culturally as well. They don't even know what they are anymore. Are they communist? Are they capitalist? Are they a little bit of all? Because if they're socialist or a pseudo-communist, how come there's such a differential and division between the rich and the poor? That's not meant to happen under the way that they were always being led. And at the same time, now they're starting to see the one-child policy is really coming home to bite them hard, just like it's also hitting countries really hard. None are getting hit harder than South Korea, which is sad. It is sad. Now, we don't or should never want the demise of any country, because we need all countries to be firing on good cylinders or on top cylinders so that people aren't distracted from what the world can be. And you'd probably argue that most of the damage that's getting done in first world countries is done by our own unscrupulous politicians, who are making the division between those that have and those that have nots bigger and greater all the time. And there's no bigger example of that than us having 3 flags on 3 flagpoles. If that doesn't create division, what does? China's our largest trading partner, folks. Australia needs to stay calm and keep a good relationship with them. Absolutely. Nobody needs to go to war with China. No, but also China's not capable of winning against any country either. They can't, because of where they're boxed in their waters, they can't project their forces. Also, they now have India beside them, whose average age is nearly 10 years younger than them, but also their population is like 100 million more than China now. And then you've got Japanese to their east, which are formidable opponents. You've got some Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam to the south. You've got Korea over there as well. Taiwan has said that we won't be pushed around. You've got the US. Wait a sec. I think my dog's getting picked up. Hey, come in. Oh, shit. My daughter just saw me. My daughter just saw me with glasses on. She's going to think Dad can't fight now. Good, Mr. Buck. I hope you're well. Elise, go, Kaz, go. How are we going? Murph says, I'm currently at the education stage and waiting for tests to complete to meet the requirements. Fantastico. Murph says his application's been run for 7 months. Man, it really is. Just done my assessment last week. Good luck, mate. Stay positive. Elise says, so now we have a conversation between us sparked by the seeds this man plants. That's what it's supposed to be about, starting conversations, yeah? But let's not be negative. We live in the best country in the world. Sometimes I try to make us think that that's not the case, but it is. And so are you. Kaz, what's your opinion on people not earning the Skippy badge? A female instructor at School of Infantry went from CHOC to ARA and chose to skip full IETs and went right to School of Infantry as an instructor, just given a Skippy. No, that should not happen. It's a difficult one. You can't instruct people if you've never been through what they've been through. You know, and it's not a fair position for her to be put in. I wouldn't be able to take it seriously personally. You know, and it's very hard for the other guys. You know, I think the question would be to ask, how would the instructors at the School of Infantry take it if it was a male? Would they treat it any different to having a female? You know, if the answer is yes, then that means that they're just nervous to tell her the truth and they've been compelled to do what they say. But at the end of the day, is she doing a good job? Is she leading by example? Are you learning from her? What battalion is she from? Or if she's never done battalion time, how can she possibly be a School of Infantry instructor? She can't be. Jared, what are your thoughts on the Ukrainian constitution not allowing an election to be held in active war? That's a tough one, Jared, because the situations have occurred in the past. There has been elections during wars in the US, UK, etc. Are they at a point where it's so precipitous that they just can't have one? I don't think so. If he's got time to go shopping, you know, and go to media events and shit in America, a election. If he doesn't, then that makes him a dictator. Having said that, if you do Roman studies, you will find that when the wolf is at the door, it was quite common to universally appoint someone as a dictator, and then they give that right back. And that's exactly what happened to the first president of the US. They made Washington basically a dictator, the sole commander, the first president to get the job done against the British. And when that was done, he said, okay, have the power back. And they said, no, the fact that you said that you were willing to give it back means you can now have it. Yeah. Yeah. On it being a dictator, you know, if it's for the love of the country and also making sure that there is one fixed message and the person is the best person for that job. Any advice for a defence interview? I'm concerned they are going to try and put me into a shit job. Blakey, if you go in there with preferences that you've already spoken about and you've already unlocked, the only reason they're going to put you into a job that you don't want is if you're going for a job that is not a priority role and there's priority roles that you're more suited for. There is some argument that we should go back to the way it was when I joined, when Mr. Buckaroni was in, that you had to earn your position. You earn at Kapuka, and basically what occurs is they have a whole raft, a menu, if you will, of jobs that need to be filled, and you compete through meritocracy, and the person that comes last has absolutely no choice in where they're going, but they've earned that position because they were the lowest performing. Now, we've already got a situation that's happening at the School of Infantry where, through a couple of back squads to injury, etc. The downside of that is the platoon gets fitter because as people drop off the broken wings, so to speak, or the lowest performers, then the slowest man getting quicker and quicker until ultimately there's one left, which will never happen. But you have to earn your position. Do you feel like you're not qualified for that position? Is it not a priority position? You know, at the moment we're hearing that there's a long wait for infantry, but at the same time, it's got infantry is a priority role, you know, on the ADF website. So go figure. Drunk bear. That way sounds good, Kaz. What it does, it's impossible for you to know what you're joining until you get there and realize what it feels like to go at the speed of people. I'll give you an example. You might want to go to Special Forces, but you don't know anything to do with Special Forces. And then let's just say you go to a platoon at Kapuka that's got some soldiers there that are doing direct entry to commandos. And then that's your first glimpse going, these guys are different to me. These guys are than what I am. Maybe my concept and romanticized version of Special Forces is completely off. And maybe even infantry is going to be a lot harder than I expect. And I believe that infantry is one of the hardest possible jobs in Australia, not only to get to, but also to keep. Now, technical when you compare it to a surgeon, you know. But what other job do you have to not only be in peak physical condition at all times, but you have to requalify fitness-wise at under 25-year-olds age pretty much for your entire career, while also being robust to go out in the field environment, whether it be desert, whether it be the hills of Tekapo in winter, or whether it be the jungles of Tully, or whether it be suddenly immersed in a place on the equator like East Timor, or then going over to the Middle East, learning about other cultures, etc. Not talking with home, being secret clearance qualified, so you can't talk about your situations. And you're also nervous to say how it's treating you mentally while being in relationships can be going pear-shaped, being denied the comforts of civil society, you know, because as soon as you say you've got a problem with it, then many told, well, you can't really now be trusted with gunpowder, live rounds, grenades, etc. So it's a hard horse to stay on, but while you do, it's fun. And it's a different journey for every person, even when we travel beside each other. Blakey says, I heard that some jobs are listed priority, but are no longer priority. Well, that is disgusting of recruiting, because at the end of the day, all that takes is someone with editing skills to just delete that box. That easy. I like the idea of earning your place. At least it's reasonable. It is reasonable unless you're at the bottom. Okay, and that can happen because you're not ready. That can happen because psychologically you don't get along with others. It can be because you have an injury. It can be because you don't have the dexterity to handle weapon systems in a safe manner. And I've seen some really muscular, fit, strong-jawed, thick-necked guys get injured, and then their training continuum gets completely taken. That's very upsetting for instructors too, to see a soldier get his future taken off him. Also, Kaz, you interviewed a Private Bullen at School of Infantry as a trainee in 2020. He's now been posted back to School of Infantry as an instructor already. That was a long time ago, man. And that was well over 5 years ago. That could have been 7 years ago that one. Because remember, I've had two channels. This channel's been here for 5 years. Yeah. He was a nice kid. It's not a black art. Some people are just really good as well. It doesn't mean you should be ever accelerated, promoted. And what I mean, have time in your rank. Yeah, and I'm talking years, unless it's a battlefield promotion at a necessity because they need someone to step up right now. Also understand we have a two-up policy where you should be able to do the job two ranks above the one you're in. So a private should be able to step up and be a section commander, already a a private P. A lieutenant should be able to do the job of a major. See, no one wants to be a captain. You get to skip that rank. Yeah. Section commanders, they should be able to step up and be a platoon sergeant. If something happens to platoon commander, the platoon sergeant doesn't just go, oh, okay, now I'm in charge. Got a vital role too. There's two things that can happen. Either one, he can take over and be the platoon commander, right, with the depth section commander taking over his platoon sergeant's position, or he might get a 2IC to do the platoon sergeant's position, or he might stay as the platoon sergeant because that's what he does best, grab a section commander and throw him into platoon commander's position. You just get back to safe base Bravo. Yep. If you think it can't happen, it normally does. Blakey says, even if you're at the bottom, it's reasonable that the best get the best. They have already called me and offered me aviation ground crew. Aviation is a fantastic job, Blakey. It really is. Chocolate milk and double glazed windows. You rarely see those guys with any sweat on them, and they're all very practical guys. And you'd expect people in aviation, there's no such thing as a rear ender bender when you're in a helicopter. It's normally always catastrophic when it occurs. You need the best people on the ground at all times. No room for politics there. Imagine myself doing any other role than infantry, Murph, and that's what everyone thinks. When anyone thinks of soldier, the first thing everyone thinks of is an infantry guy, normally a guy with a tin helmet, with a 303 and a bayonet attached. Good on you, mate. Follow the calling. Sticky says, I spent most of my career working 2 ranks above and I did that level of pay. Yep, that's a normal thing. Yeah, got an email saying my first preference was low progression priority. What was it, Drunk Bear? The Drunk Drop Bear. What is the role you're going for, mate? G'day, Jace. How you going, mate? There's only 4 full-time Army priority roles under combat security officer, intel, analyst, infantry, and gunner. There's only full-time Army priority roles under combat security. Well, intelligence analyst is not that's not a combat role. Okay. Right. Great people work in aviation. I agree. Yeah. And when they've got a helmet with a visor on it too. Let's hope, despite the fact that a lot of guys want to go on the great adventure, let's just hope that the benefits of training, being fit, traveling, making great mates, stability, great pay, fitness, competition, sense of humor. I'd rather you have that than actually go and see the realities of a war, and potentially end up with some of your mates not coming home at all and you being stuck with the guilt of thinking this is what I wanted until I saw it. The British too weak for war. It's all posturing. They can still deploy to keep peace. Well, the scary might be using this as the fuse to start conscription, and there's talk of that happening as well. Now, if that happens, they can mobilise 1 million men very quickly, just like Australia can. If you don't think we can't get 1 million people in uniform, you're dreaming. Of course we can, and people have no say in it. Stick British too weak. Ground crew get to travel in the choppers. Yes, they do. I'd like a job that gives me the chance to be deployed and have a bit of adventure while I'm in the service. Absolutely. Blakey, the aviation ground crew, they spend a lot of time around the helos. Their job is to go around it. They're going to be friends with the officers and the load masters as well. Of course, you'll get your chance. Dave D can't fill the the funniest thing about all this is loud and clear over is we keep getting excellent on their excellent signal, and this just keeps falling out, and this never happens ever. You know, when I'm online, if I was playing a game, if I'm watching YouTube, it never happens until we talk about certain subjects. I think this is more than just an intranet connection requirement. Team, if you're here, please show Kaz some respect and give him the hit the like button. There we go. We're back. Guys and gals, I totally believe that the army is still the best job you can do. You know, even if you only do it for the first 4 to 6, as you go from kid, young adult, man, you know, woman, I believe it is the best job that you can do. I think it sets you up with all the tools that makes you a better human being, a better teammate, a more compassionate individual, you know, someone that's able to be able to identify in human nature that are around you. It makes you humble, you know, because you know what it's like to fail, to actually be told you've failed, to understand what your capabilities are, what the abilities of your tyres are like to go around corners in the wet, in the gravel, to occasionally fall over, to get back on the bike, to keep going, to not be able to have excuses such as phobia. You know, we don't put up with that. We don't care if you're scared. You're going to get pushed through it. You will do it. You're not allowed to be scared of spiders. You're not allowed to be scared of snakes. You're not allowed to be scared of confined spaces. And if you tell people you're scared of heights, you're going to get pushed off them. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. You've also got to be able to take criticism, you know, and that can be hard depending on who's giving it to you. Every person that talks to you, that it teaches you, do I want to be like that person, or do I want to be the opposite of that person? So it teaches you how to be a leader, a manager as well. Tio, how many do you think we could recruit through conscription at a maximum? I don't know, 3 or 4 million, I reckon. It'd be in the millions. Remember, we got over 400,000 in World War I when we had 4 million people. You don't get a say in it. If you've got too much marbling, we'll run that off. It won't necessarily be a good-looking army, but when these sort of things happen, Torrentio, sorry if I'm butchering that, my man. Not only don't you get a say in it, but it'd normally be because our own shores are in danger, not necessarily for a fight that's happening abroad, okay? But we have nowhere near enough people at the moment to do the job. Nowhere near enough. And the government can tell you in those hard times that your job is now redundant. You know, it doesn't exist anymore. You're wearing a uniform, and that's exactly what's happened to the guys in Ukraine. Kaz, do infantry support companies still have signals platoon? Yes, or just attached signals? And if so, what does that role look like? So you've got to remember, support company is a battalion commander's asset. So they don't go out with the platoons. They don't go out with the rifle companies as such. You know, what happens is they're attached or they're owned by the battalion commander. And if they're CP, a control post that's being started and forward operating base has been established by a rifle company, etc., then signal detachments can be sent there to make a more permanent signals set up as part of the C3 command, control, and communications, right? So you'd bid for those. The same as you could say, I'm in Charlie Company and I've got an anti-armor threat, anti-armor assets. Yes, it could be I'm going on a patrol and I need overwatch from reconnaissance. Can I have those ISR elements? You know, it could be, can I have a sniper team or multiple teams for prosecution of targets for a tier AI targetable area, that I can't necessarily cover those priority targets, and I want them as an independent kinetic force. You don't use them for observation, you use them for kinetic impact. So everything is something that you ask additionally to the commander. And then you've got brigade assets, and then battalion commanders are saying, I need engineer support, righto, or I need cavalry for support of this, or I need intelligence for human intelligence that might come along with patrols and go into a village, etc., to get some local information. Artillery, you might get 4-field battery to come and support a forward advance of an infantry group, right? Anyway, jumping. Okay, lost connection, but the role I put for first preference was infantry. Okay, yep. This is what I don't understand, mate. They're saying it's priority online, but apparently it's not. So that's confused me. Dave D says we raised 60 battalions in World War One and similar in World War Two. It's one of the things that really about being part of the Royal Australian Regiment and with our Army Reserve battalions is the infantry battalions are normally named after some really prestigious units. Before 1949, when we got the Prefects Royal and become the Royal Australian Regiment. So a lot of those units that had incredible battle honours, feel like they've been lost to the dust, and it seems like everything goes off the battle honours of the Royal Australian Regiment, which are nowhere near as significant of those of wars of World War One, World War Two, etc. Yeah, Vito has been missing in action. Stu was getting to me finally. Have you back, V2? It's good to have you back. How is everyone going? Dwayne, how's your health going, mate? Yeah. We had someone on the channel do a bit of a diagnostic, and they looked into our channel, your channel, my channel, In the Trenches with Kaz. And basically, when they started doing some investigations, they found that it was 65 videos before any of my videos appear under the Australian Army umbrella. So I would imagine at the moment that our channel has been completely not necessarily blacklisted, but is hidden from new subscribers. And it's unfortunate, team. It really is. We're starting to see a lot more flags on display hours around my area and close into town as well. Could be a good sign that people may be willing to throw their hand when the time comes. Alex, our country is absolutely chock-a-block with amazing individuals. It really is. But like anything, shadow banned. That's it, Linux. You don't know someone's leadership capability, their fighting capability, their sporting, their singing capability until an opportunity arises. I think Australia is more than capable of stepping up. I do. The unfortunate thing is we've got a lot of estrogen-filled dudes these days, and that's now considered normal. They're very, very aggressive typists, and it emails and writing, but they're probably scared of the rain, and that's a tough thing, burnt lips from Starbucks coffee. Me just searching Australian Army 7th video. If I search Kapuka on a clear browser, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily anything that is vexatious from the Australian Army. I think more the fact that they've probably said to YouTube, to Google, always prioritize anything from the actual Australian Army's releases over independent content creators. Dwayne Kazov, I haven't felt this good in a long time. Thanks for asking, mate. Well, you're a good dude, man. You are a good dude. And when we talk about things, you're always level from a life of trials and tribulation yourself. And this channel is full of people with their own journeys. We've got some awesome people at the moment that we've spoken to in the last few days. The frustrations are definitely there with the recruiting, and they've got every right to be frustrated. Every right. Your computer gas being fed too many cookies. Your computer Kaz has been fed too many cookies. It might be, but this is not my porn computer. That's an iPad. I trust the security on Apple devices a little bit better. Yeah, we've been on phone continually talking to people. I've talked some people's ears off. It stops me from getting most of my life done. But at the same time, man, I'd rather that than pandemic, which is loneliness. And at this time, while the world is in chaos and the stock market and the crypto has got heartburn, you do need a distraction. But that's the one back a bit, you don't sell and you come back in and it's green again. Yeah. Is there a campaign in Australia to buy up our properties? I wonder. What do you think of the Chinese off the East Coast? We've been talking about that, mate. I do believe that the warning should go out, and it should simply be, if you come back in here again, it is deliberate. You've got your GPS units within your ships. You know exactly where you are. The next time you come in, we are going to hit you with shells. If we sink one of you, we sink one of you. You don't really have the right to fight back. And if China gets upset, go, hey, if I waters, do you honestly believe that China would put up with Australian warships in Chinese waters? Fuck no. You'd be getting MSG flown over the bow before you knew it. Who the little? Mate, everybody appreciates your calls, and if they don't, they're probably a flog anyway. Thanks, Jace. China knows our government is weak and they're exposing it. That's not the case, Stick. What they're doing at the moment, because their face is getting pushed down in a piss trough by the USA, and they know that they can play with us a little bit. But at the end of the day, they've got to be very, very careful, because the military in the world, is also our best friend. Yep. Yeah, they're losing across the board, mate. Economically, culturally, they're annals of the red corn chip. I don't think Elon Musk could fix it, the amount of problems they've got, really. And I don't want to have problems, and I wouldn't want anyone to have problems with them. But they're a bear. Picture, I'll say the word, picture China. If they start shit with anyone, they're going to be like a bear amongst a pack of wolves. They look big, they look scary, but it's an old bear. And surrounded by wolves, massive dire wolf, India. They've got a bear that's even more dangerous, USA. You've got Europe, you've got the Five Eyes, you've got all of the terrain around them, the vital terrain, and Taiwan, the shipping ways, Japan, all the coalition forces. It would be incredibly devastating to watch the Chinese bear to be ripped to pieces by 100 wolves. At the moment, for those that aren't watching, there's absolute carnage happening over in Africa, which is really, really sad as well. It really is. People showing their true colors, so to speak. The thing put in the equation the other way is China already believes their waters extend far further than they actually do. So they'd make a stink far. They'd make a stink far before we got 200 kilometers from their coast. Absolutely. And the dangerous thing for them, hoodle doodle, is if they stuff up near Australian waters, that's a goddamn long way. You've got to turn around and try to make it back. That's like that poor New Zealander that was getting the other day. That absolutely made me feel like I was going to be sick. What a brave young man he was. Followed for like 10 or 15 minutes by that 4-meter great white, crystal clear, staying 2 meters off his bow, basically letting him know he's still there. Foxy, hey, Kaz and team, hope everyone is well. I'll have to rewatch this spicy topic. Foxy, I'd rather we just have a conversation as buggery, mate. They don't want a hot conflict. No, they've got a saber rattle. That they come from a culture that has to show they're strong all the time, and that can be counterproductive. Because one day you have to prove it. You know, their only allies don't speak Mandarin. They don't want a hot conflict. They're happy winning with soft power and some small hoodle doodle. They apparently warned Australia about the potential use of live fire for exercises. Again, I believe we need to sink one of their ships. You know, they come in, they know what they're doing. You know, we need to be like the guy who's behind me, the Roman. Nazi Mason. Question: if someone applies for special forces and unlock on a GOA, do they automatically get the? Not automatically, but if they're actually considered yes as a candidate, and then they go and do that additional fitness testing, then is made between yourself and your assessing staff with your case manager, etc. Just like if you're going for a like when you do your aptitude test and you unlock not general entry, direct entry commandos, for example, then what would occur is they would let you know, you tell them, yes, this is what I want to do. You would get your medical checks, additional psychological requirements for your beep test and your PFA, etc. A bunch of their ethnic groups don't speak Mandarin. Yep, like Mongolians. Do you know that the Mongols, their weekend is on Thursday, Friday? That's pretty interesting. Well, I've got those tests, mate. Well, I have got those tests, mate. Okay. Along with inventory. There you go. There you go. So I believe the test is, I think it's 10.5 in the run. And I believe it's 40 push-ups. I think it is. It could be more, but it's something like that. You know, absolutely, Meso. We'll have a chat about that. You should see the army as a passport to a better version of you. There's nothing better for me than seeing someone military. They jump onto Patreon. They join Patreon as a fatty boomsticks, looking like melting ice cream, and then decide this is what I really want. And over the months that we're communicating, they're stripping down, becoming a version of themselves they never thought was going to happen again. And then they're absolutely proud of their own accomplishments, not to mention they've already regained their lives and taken the reins back in that. There's something you need to remember as you get older, that 50 years old is not middle-aged. Okay, it's 37. When you get to 37, ready on the paper, half over. The average lifespan is 74 years old. You're not going to be on a boogie board still at 65 years old. So you need to live your life, get in early, get amongst it. Yeah. And then I hope you enjoy money and comforts and olives. But if you want adventure and stories and mateship, brotherhood and travel, and having a life set apart, then join the army. Not make this channel. And I get other soldiers go, Kaz, why are you still telling everyone to join the army? Okay, because I still believe it's the best small army in the world. Does it frustrate me? Absolutely. Recruiting, dog shit. Politics, horse shit. But General Stewart is a fantastic leader. He's a great guy. The politics falls away when you get after you get through Kapooka and you get to your initial employment. And then it's just you going from day to day, getting new skills all the time, hopefully less around the paperwork, and living your life. Johnny Diggs, g'day, mate. Good to see you, sir. I believe it's 38. No, 74 is the lifespan, isn't it? The average lifespan. Johnny, you'd know that. What is? Someone look it up. What's the average lifespan human in Australia? I believe it's 74. I'm 54, and I might not have a good head, as some of the guys have said. But I tell you what, I'm fucking average for a 54-year-old, and I see them all the time. I see guys in their 30s now that can't take their shirt off at Wet and Wild. Now, that should be the litmus test. You never want to look like a piece of shit when you take your shirt off in front of your kids at Wet and Wild. That should be the test. Oh, shit, everything's been quiet. I hope I haven't offended anyone. Yeah. And it's going up to Newcastle tomorrow to go and see the family. Mum is not doing the best, and I want to go and make sure that I let her give Dad a bit of a rest. I'm 54 and I have a great set of, Simon Powell, absolutely fake news right there. I've lost 11 kilos since I went beast mode. There you go. There you go. And I hope you feel like you're 100% healthier. Sticky, mate, I turned 30 and that's prime time, and you see 30-year-olds that are as beaten you past 50-year-olds that do not respect themselves. Absolutely. And it breaks my heart, Sticky. I see guys all go, what have you done to destroy your life so early? I was talking to one of our great subscribers today and one of our Patreon members, and he was telling me what it's like trucks, and seeing guys that are around 30 years old that look like melting ice cream, and it's probably too late for them to come back from that. However, I do know a guy that was close that is now a pilot, magnificent guy. I'm probably going to try and call him the next couple of days, actually. But again, after your 21st birthday, you'll go to sleep and you'll wake up and you're 40. It happens that quick. Alex, I'm not even in yet, and it's improved my life. Been training hard and feel sharp as. That's it, Alex. It's all about mission and purpose. That's what it's about. Yeah. Well, Simon, you're right there. Should Britain, let's finish off with another 5 minutes. Should Britain go to war with Russia on the eve of peace? No, I don't believe they should. I believe that this brutal border disagreement between Russia and Ukraine has been heartbreaking and a tragedy for Russian and Ukrainian mothers. I think the danger of going to something like the Ukraine as a foreign fighter is, what if you get captured? Because if I was Russian, I'd kill you. If I caught you as a foreign fighter, you want to come from somewhere as beautiful as Australia just to try and put my brothers in boxes for you. Because remember, they're not fighting by the Geneva Convention over there either. If you're going to go over and help the Ukraine, these heroic fucking gentlemen who are defending their country, some of them being forced to, some of them for their love of their country. When you go to come home, what happens when you come back to Australia, America, Britain, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, whatever, and you've got PTSD, you might be considered a, pseudo criminal by your own country, being under a foreign fighter apron. You might be wounded. You might not get any superannuation, any money, or PTSD, unable to actually have relationships with other people. And then when the conflict's over, you're still left with all the battle scars, which means that really all you can do is then carry it around the world looking for other conflict areas to be a contractor. You've got to be careful what you wish for. You really, really do. I definitely take my hat off to those fantastic guys and to the God Squad over in the Ukraine. You've got to be proud of people that defend their country, and stand the line. But to come from Australia to go over there, what is your real purpose? Russians don't have any rules for their Ukrainian prisoners. I'm sure it goes both ways. In many ways, Sticky. Juicy. Have you seen the videos of young 18, 9-year-old fighting Ukraine? I have actually. Skippy is one of them, yeah? Although history men have joined in foreign conflicts, I agree. I do agree. But when you're not fighting under a flag, and when this is over and you don't share the same language, the romance, I think, will disappear from it very, very quickly. Hey, Lottie. All you can do is say a prayer for them. And the other one is, what if we are 1 or 2 days away from peace? What if we're only a couple of days away from peace and Britain is trying to re-ramp this up to turn it in? If you're a Ukrainian young man who started fighting as an 18-year-old, okay, and now you're about to turn 24 years old, you've lost so many of your mates, and then you hear another fight, there's going to be another offensive, whatever, and then you are that guy like World War II, where you end up losing your life an hour before or an hour after. Okay, that is a scary concept. If they're going to use the US to broker peace, then I really wish they would say to them, give us a chance, both countries. Stop advancing. Just stop where you are. Referee, whistle blast. Guys, relax for a second. Look after your wounded. Repatriate your dead. Look, there's going to be a cease in hostilities because we don't want anyone to die on the witching hour. Start to think about the mothers and the sons, instead of the Zelensky and Putin. Yeah. Travis, Kaz, any tips for 1RTU ship off in June? Well, you're going to be going in winter there, Trav. Speaking of flags, what's your opinion on guys presenting their battalion flags from the RAR? I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be doing that because you're not there representing the battalion. I just hope they get home safely. Yeah. I mean, nobody respects the UK anymore. The UK has disrespected their own people, and they've chosen to side with and other cultures more than their own. Now, they're a Christian nation, and they should be keeping that the way it is, looking after their own thing. There's grooming gangs, should be executed. What they are, scum, regardless of who they are. Look after your own people first. Every country should be thinking the same way that US is. Bring the spending down. Get rid of the, what do we call it? Get rid of the addiction to two people happen to have wages to the tax. Find a way that it is still affordable for men and women to choose to have a family instead. Because if you don't have families and the wrong people have families, your country's going to shit anyway. One of the other things that's happening with the USA, now they've called 6 different cartels, organizations, terrorists. Do you know what that means? I'll give you a couple of seconds. Write down, what does that mean? How does this change now that the Mexican cartel have actually been as terrorists? Do you know what that means? I'm about to tell you. It might shock you. It might shock you. We can do it in Australia too. Okay, I can't military instead of police against you in the interior. It means you could end up with gangs, being taken out by Delta, or potentially Rangers, Navy SEALs, whether it be American countries, whether it be in US waters, or whether it be in the interior. Police stay at home or in cooperation, out of cordon, get the job done. And now they're also bringing back death penalty for any terrorist that takes the life of an American in American soil. Kaz, you watch any sports or anything like that, Murph? I want to start watching soccer. I like the fact that it is so covered and so loved across the European nations, UK nations, that what is there, like 11 different divisions? I love watching things like the UTMB, the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, like the Ultra Trail things. I love watching triathlon. I love MMA. I like boxing. I like most things where people are displaying excellence. Sticky says, as much as I feel for our brothers in the UK, they are getting what they vote for and what we have to think of Australia first. We do, but unfortunately, every time someone in Australia shows a bit of backbone, the country turns on them. Murph, I don't really watch the NRL much. When I do, a lot of my love for the NRL changed when Jonathan Thurston left the game. I didn't realise I was watching the game just because I loved his impact he had on the field. Now, I see very much the same sort of guy with Penrith. What's his name? Mr. Cleary, the father and son. I love their teamwork. I love their leadership. I love their humbleness. I do. Loves boxing. It's great to watch. It is. And there's a hell of a lot of discipline involved in it and hard training. Guys, do we have anything else? Do we have anything else? Sorry, this jumped around everywhere. Loves the NRL. Sticky, once you start getting into global politics and that sort of shit, sport almost completely disappears. I love history. NRL is still trial with the fans. Okay. Military gets involved. That's right, Lloydie. And I tell you, the cartels are not up to the level to be stuffing around infantry, let alone special forces. Great man. How about close to home, Kaz? Play Navy warships on Australia's east coast, dictating the terms in international waters and airspace. If Kaz was Minister of Defence for a day, where would you draw the line? Okay. Grey man, I'd be talking to Xi Jinping's representative, his ambassador right now, and I'd be letting him know the next Chinese ship that comes into Australian waters, we will sink it. It's that simple. You've been warned. You're fucking around. It's time that you realised that you're stuffing with a sovereign nation, a first world nation, and you coming into our home and doing this. There is no excuses. It's deliberately to test our defence and our actions on. It's time you learnt the hard way. And when you did that and showed that leadership and showed that strength, well, then I bet the next captain of the Chinese boat, no, sir, I don't know if I want to do that. The sailors would definitely be shitting themselves in Mandarin, which is a fruit that I will not tolerate. And you know what? You'd get the respect from the rest of the world as well. And guess what else had happened? And that all across, the oceans and the waterways and the South China Sea, you'd start seeing Chinese ships being on the bottom, and they'd become tourist attractions for diving sites. Like, thanks, Kaz, Simon Powell. Thanks, Dwayne. V2 Racing, Kaz went to see info, snuck out China on what's going on, being hidden from the Great Firewall. Watch on YouTube, the China Show. Holy shit. That sounded like a whole bunch of statements written in there with no grammar. I'm trying to think what you guys want to see info snuck out of China on what's going on, being hidden from a Great Firewall. Watch on YouTube, the China Show. Okay. Great brain food tonight, Kaz. Thanks, mate. That's okay, at least. I do. Blake. That's a good name, Blake. Blake sounds like one of those names that girls would be impressed by and guys would be nervous if they found out you'd slept with a guy's missus in his name. Sounds like someone that can get the job done. Hey, Kaz, if you can, I'd love a chat this weekend, but since it's a weekend, understand if you can't, I'm all yours, mate. All you got to do is send a text and say, Hey, Blakey, and we'll be on. Maverick, hey, Kaz, Andrew Hastie's potential future defence minister. I'd have no problem with that. I'm not sure which one. Murph? I have a difficult time when someone is a defence minister if they've never been defence. I talked to someone today about it. If you've never been defence, how can you be the voice of defence? Another thing too, in case you didn't realise, I didn't know this until a couple of days ago. You've heard of my concept on what would make people want to join the army, life after army, etc. Australia is doing something right. Thank you, Simon Powell. Join the Patreon team. I dare you to get on there. And if you join up, go to the Black Legion. Do not join as a free member. I cannot give my phone number to go to the Black Legion, jump on there, and I will send you a message with my number and we will talk. And I'll be there to help you skin the cat, so to speak, but not in a Vietnam dinner time. You can be the sniper and I'll be the number 2. Range on, target on, wind. Let's do it. Yeah. So South Australia has got a place when guys are doing it hard, mentally, where there's 24 rooms. You can go in there for up to a month, like a respite, and just be around other soldiers and basically bring down the fizz, so to speak, whether it's caused by substance abuse, they'll win you off it. Whether it's caused your partner, whether it's caused by PTSD, whatever it is. So why isn't there communities like that all around Australia? We've got over 50, what would you call it, little suburbs, little housing hamlets, where there can be a couple of hundred houses. Why don't we have that for military, where guys can go there? They don't need any police. The doctor just comes to there and goes, is there anyone this week? There's a psychiatrist that is down there as well. There's no need for police because all of the soldiers would be able to go and knock on the door and go, Sarah, are you okay? Rob, get out of here. You've been a dickhead again. We're really good at self-policing ourselves. Really good at it. Yeah, I think it'd work. I've got to ask Kaz, my favourite song. I was only 19. Have you heard it? I'm sure you have. Absolutely. I joined the army was when I loved the version of The Herd, the more upbeat version. The 2 guys lived in China 10 years, teach them escape for their safety. They done shows all over China. Wow, that'd be interesting. I get nervous if I went there. They're going to look at my live streams and say, hey, you sound like you're anti-China, which I'm not. It's an amazing historical place I'd love to go to. Yeah. Jay says, hey, don't be Jack and cancel it the second he sends you the phone number and call him every day. Yeah, we've got one guy who's joined Patreon and then, he's been calling me all the time or getting me to call him, and so I have. And then I found out that he'd deleted it as soon as basically he'd got my number, which I thought was pretty low class, especially considering he wants to be an officer. That's not the sort of character trait I'd expect of someone who's an officer. Don't want to buy you a cup of coffee, Kaz, but I'll take 5 hours of your time. Doesn't make sense. But anyway, I hope you guys have a really, really good weekend. Walk in the house naked, sleep during the day, drink a bottle of Coke, pat a dog. And remember, at the moment, you could be someone in a Ukrainian trench praying that you're not the last person to cop it in this conflict. And I know this sounds nasty, I couldn't give a fuck about where the border is between Russia and Ukraine. If it comes all the way over and they go all the way to Odessa, and keep Crimea, but it stops the bleeding, I don't care. I just want the Ukrainians to be safe. If you can't take your country back by yourself and no one's coming to help you, you have to look at the writing on the wall and save your next generation and what is left of. Rapping this, the song kind of ruins it. I think it's because I've heard both sides of it so many times, Murph, that I preferred the upbeat version rather than hearing the old one. I love Hey True Blue as well. That's a song that makes you dream, think about dogs you've lost in the past and all that sort of weird shit. Yeah. Okay, guys, take it easy. Sorry about the connection again tonight. If I hadn't been so tired lately, I would have been making some videos, reactions to some of the amazing stuff that's happening around the US at the moment with Elon Musk, with some of the executive orders, etc. I'm a big fan. Big fan. You know, when did the last time you hear an Australian say they loved our country? When was the last time you heard someone in England say they love their country? If you want a channel to listen to that you really, really appreciate, it's called the Lotus Eaters, LOTUS Eaters. Thank you, Simon Powell. Thank you, Mr. Mason. Rock, Stone, Mason. Dwayne, I hope you're feeling great, mate. Great to see you here connecting with us. Elise King, great to have you here. Trav, Sticky, let's go. Oh, you haven't got a dog. Did you eat it, mate? Yeah. Guys, take it easy. And remember, there's people suffering around the world right now, and no one can hear them scream. So we can hardly complain. Although if you do, I'll listen. I was in London recently, and the non-Londoners love their country. It gave me a sticky. It really is. I appreciate that. I needed to hear it. Jenny, you take it easy up north, mate. See you later. And remember, Hillary Clinton's naked under your bed. See ya.